In this video, as promised, it'll be up to you to write a couple of new test cases for a couple of new functions. Now, I'll be providing you with the functions you'll be testing. Those functions will live over in math.js, and we'll write the test cases right inside of this file. So to kick things off, let's go ahead and grab the functions we'll be testing. You can find those over at links.mead.io/node test. This is going to redirect us over to a GitHub gist, just a little code snippet. This contains the two functions you'll be testing, as well as the challenge comments outlining what I'd like you to do. What I'm going to do is grab all 15 lines, copy them to the clipboard, and we'll be pasting them in math.js just below the calculate tip function that we created in the last lesson. So now we have 3 functions inside of here, and it's time to talk about what exactly I'd like you to get done. So the big picture goal is to test the temperature conversion functions up above. One converts Fahrenheit into Celsius, and the other converts Celsius into Fahrenheit. You'll be writing 2 test cases, one for each function. So down below, you need to start by exporting both functions from this file and loading them into our test suite file. Then you'll create those 2 tests. Should convert 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 0 degrees Celsius will be the first one. In that case, you want to call this function with the correct Fahrenheit value and assert that you get the correct Celsius value back. The other one should convert 0 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Fahrenheit is going to use this function Celsius to Fahrenheit. You'll pass in 0 as the Celsius temperature and assert using expect that you get back the number 32. Last up, you'll go ahead and run the test suite, making sure that your 2 new test cases show up and are passing. So take some time to knock that out. Don't forget to run the test suite, and when you're done, come back and click play. How'd that go? Let's kick things off by exporting both of these functions down below alongside of calculate tip. So first up, we have Fahrenheit to Celsius. I'll select it from my autocomplete list. And then we also have Celsius to Fahrenheit. Autocomplete can't work if I don't start to type things correctly. There's the option we want. And now we're actually going to head over to the test suite file itself, load those in, and write the test cases. So for me, I'm going to take these challenge comments, cut them out. I'll remove the empty spaces and save this file. I'll bring the challenge comments over here so we can continue to work through it. Down below, I can remove the why test comment and replace it with the challenge ones. Now, the first thing we have to do is make sure we do load those 2 functions in. So alongside of calculate tip, I'll be grabbing Celsius to Fahrenheit, as well as Fahrenheit to Celsius, and down below, we're going to set up those 2 test cases. We'll just do one at a time. So first up, a new test with the following name should convert 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 0 degrees Celsius. We'll set up the function, and for this one, we'll be calling Fahrenheit to Celsius. So right here, const, I can go ahead and create a variable like temp or something similar. And this will be the return value from what comes back from calling Fahrenheit to Celsius, the function we're actually trying to test. Now, in this case, I'll pass 32 degrees in Fahrenheit in, and I would expect to get 0 degrees in Celsius back. So I'll use expect to expect something about the temperature, expecting that it equals using to be the number 0. Perfect. Now we could add the second test case, but let's go ahead and just run this one to make sure it's passing before we go any further. And if it is passing, we'll move on to the second. Right here, it is. So down below, that means another call to test providing the name. In this case, it is in the other direction. So should convert 0 degrees in Celsius to 32 degrees in Fahrenheit, and we'll set up our function. Right here, once again, we can create a variable like temp or temperature or result or whatever makes sense for you. And then we'll call the function we're trying to test. That would be Celsius to Fahrenheit passing in the initial value of 0 and expecting the result of 32 degrees. So right here, I'm expecting something about the temperature, expecting that it equals using to be the number 32. Now, with this in place, we can remove the challenge comments, as the only thing left to do is run the test suite for the final time. So I will remove it, save the file, rerun the test suite, and hopefully we have 4 passing test cases, and right here we do. So with those 2 new test cases in place, you were able to verify that these functions are working as expected. And if the code was to ever be changed or refactored in the future, we would be notified if it broke the functionality, because the test cases we created would fail. So now that we have this in place, that's where we're going to stop for this video. So far in this section, we've covered the very basics of testing. We've set up Jest, we explored the assertion library, and tested some relatively simple functions. In the next lesson, we're going to continue on testing more advanced functions and focusing on testing the contents of the Task Manager app. I'm excited to get to that, so let's jump right in to the next lesson.